Today we are talking to Jane Duncan. Welcome.
Jane.
Hi, great to be here.
She is the Director of Marketing at Front Street Capital, which is involved with the grounds and making that awesome spot happen. And we are very excited to hear more about the grounds. It's kind of the talk of the city.
Here.
Excited to share more.
So let's dive in. Tell us a little more about what to expect.
Yeah, so the grounds, as a lot of people have probably heard, we broke ground in late 2024. So we're in the midst of the development and construction process right now for phase one. But the grounds is really a transformational mixed-use development that's kind of anchored by Wake Forest athletic facilities and kind of that sports and entertainment district where we all go to concerts and games and high school graduations and all of that. But over the years, the kind of commerce district that was along the old Beatty Street and Deacon Boulevard has really dissipated, right? There were bars, restaurants.
Beatty's not there anymore?
Beatty's not there anymore. I saw John Mayer play at Ziggy's when I was in high school.
I saw Dave Matthews play
There you go.
Yeah.
I opened for Warrant there.
Oh, amazing.
That's cool.
But sadly, that kind of heyday of that
We could just
area.
keep talking about that. for
we
like
could just
45
talk
minutes.
about
a whole
That's what I
episode.
did.
the random bands we saw. I actually heard a song on the way in that was talking about washing the X's off your hands, and I was like, I may or may not have done that at Ziggy's back in the day. But with the kind of decline of that Whitaker Park manufacturing area back then, obviously it's really coming back and resurging. A lot of those businesses and restaurants, bars, places to go that were along that strip had closed, and it had just turned into abandoned parking lots largely. So Wake Forest had a vision to really be at the forefront of a trend that's happening in universities and kind of stadium adjacent districts and make it into a master plan development. So I'm with Front Street Capital that's based here in Winston, just a couple blocks away on 4th Street. We are a joint venture partner with Carter out of Atlanta, and we're the lead developers on the grounds. So the grounds is 100 acres. Wow. It includes basically bordered on the west by University Parkway, goes up to that Reynolds Boulevard University Corporate Center that's got the Pepsi glass building with the Pepsi logo, down through the parking lots past the Joel, and then bordered on the east, I'm trying to get my directions right, by the fairgrounds. So it's about 100 acres total, and this first phase of the development that's happening kind of from Deacon Boulevard up to the Wake Forest football lots, the Legacy Federal Credit Union Stadium football lots, is phase one. So that includes
Phase one.
Phase one.
How many phases are there?
Only
I did not
phase
realize
one. TBD exactly how many phases. I would say there'll probably be 2 or 3 phases of development of the grounds proper, right? That 100 acres. Phase one is master plan multi-use. So
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Yes.
when we look at the the drawings and the sketches and
Yeah.
everything, is that inclusive of the whole vision, or is that phase one?
that's phase one. So everything that you
Whoa.
can see so far is just that phase one. I say just. I mean, it's an
not
enormous
just.
phase one.
It's massive.
But it's all really intentionally done. We're doing it in phases because A, phase one is pretty substantial, so it's enough work to take on to start. But B, we don't want it to feel like a construction zone from day one, right? So it really is very intentionally piecemealed. But we're in that early stages of planning for phase two, and that'll include additional retail and potentially additional office and residential. Phase one is really heavily anchored by infrastructure improvements, which is what everyone wants to hear about, right? The boring side of the infrastructure improvements, although it's been fascinating.
Water and
to
power,
watch
no
it.
way.
Right, it's amazing. Although we all need it, as we saw from trash collection these last couple weeks.
Gosh, yeah.
I don't know when this will air. Hopefully that'll still be relevant in people's minds. But because it had been multiple businesses that were overturned and parking lots and all of that, there was a bit of a spaghetti junction of utilities. So not only did we need to clean that up, we wanted to clean it up not just for this first phase, but for 100 acres of future development. So that was a major undertaking. We rerouted Deacon Boulevard. So instead of that running just like straight east to west, we added a dogleg and reduced it from 4 lanes to 2 to really make that a more intentional pedestrian friendly. Like Deacon Boulevard was not a road you wanted to cross over.
Yeah, I noticed that when I went to the last football game.
Exactly.
That it had
Yes.
been-
So it's been, we added some parking under it. It's beautiful. I actually teared up a little bit when I drove down it the first time. And then I accidentally ran one of the new stop signs.
Oh, gosh.
So don't do that. But that was a huge unlock to kind of the definition and the density of the retail village, particularly. But the biggest part of the infrastructure work was the restoration of Silas Creek. We joke, a lot of us joke that it's not just a parkway. A lot of Winston, when you hear Silas Creek, I almost did it, right? You automatically say parkway. But Silas Creek, the stream,
an actual creek.
it's an actual
creek.
now will be beautiful creek
Yeah.
that starts just north of the football stadium, runs under the football field, and then had come out into these like kudzu covered trees. It was heavily eroded, lots of exposed roots. And so the first thing we did was clear that. McAdams is our landscape engineering partner. They're an amazing, amazing group of people who engineered how to reroute the stream, so better stormwater management, lifted the creek bed about 15 feet.
Oh, nice.
Now it has a beautiful flow to it. We're going to plant 30 or 40,000 new plants along that stream. 99% of which will be native plants. So really got rid of those invasive species. We're going to build some kind of habitats, and that'll wind all the way up to University Parkway, where we'll have stream or walking trails and a new safer crossing across University Parkway.
Definitely
That's
needed.
outstanding.
Yes. So that was the huge first part, and that sets us up for success for the multifamily that we're building, the retail village that is kind of the focal point. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that, and the office building that's being constructed that'll be leased by Wake Forest.
Do you already, or you might not be able to share this, but do you already have retailers on board?
The retail process has been awesome. I can't share it yet. I was really hoping that I could. We'll have it to share soon. But we've got leases out to about 50% of the retail space.
What types of businesses are
It's
there?
heavily led, and we knew it would be this way, partially because developments like this tend to lead with food and beverage, but also there's a lot of demand in Winston for food and beverage, as you know. So the retail strategy, just going before I give hints at who some retailers might be, was to have that really special experiential feel, right? Like a Remedy, like a place where you walk and you don't feel like you've walked into Anywhere USA. It's not to say we won't have some places that have multiple locations around the Southeast or even around the country, but really focused on places that are going to feel like they have a sense of place. And, they're places that you want to go and stay. It's not a shopping center where you go run one errand and then leave. We see this as a place that you go take a fitness class, grab a coffee, buy a gift for a friend, and then meet coworkers for lunch. So that's the way we're curating the retail. So you're not going to find a Starbucks or a Buffalo Wild Wings. No offense to Starbucks or Buffalo Wild Wings. They have a time and a
That
place.
would be the only
obviously.
reason I was going.
They're very successful.
Both Starbucks and Buffalo Wild Wings.
But coffee, ice cream, sports bar, some high-end dining, some breakfast and sandwich mix, fitness. We really want it to feel like an active and vibrant place.
Will there be a lot of like outdoor seating
Yes,
options?
lots of outdoor seating. So our retail village has 5 buildings. They're all varying elevations so that you really get that density. But they're all designed around the perimeter of not only outdoor, like patio seating. 2 of our food and beverage retailers will have rooftop space, which will be great. But green areas, benches, steps, a stage for music and programming, outdoor yoga, all that kind of stuff. So really heavily intended to be a place that you go and stay and spend time, in addition to being nestled right there next to this new improved stream and greenway.
Cool. So I know this is always a hot topic. Will there be parking? What will the parking be
Yes,
like?
great question. Oh my gosh, yes. People want to know what's going to go in there and
Can they park
can I
easy?
park? So with that update and the reworking of Deacon Boulevard, we added parking lots. So if you picture where it's so hard to, I usually have a slide that I'm pointing to, so forgive me for talking so much with my hands. But if you picture where the Joel Coliseum is, we basically added 2 new parking lots that sort of anchor south of Deacon Boulevard. So where we're building the multifamily, which is going to be student apartments for this first phase, that took up some parking, particularly from football game parking pass holders. We're net neutral on parking with what we added for the retail. So it's going to be a great parking situation where you're not parking right there. We don't want to make cars the focal point, but it's easy to park right there, stop sign that you can with a crosswalk to cross over into the main entrance. Yeah, so
Very
plenty
nice.
of parking.
Yeah, I may or may not have been trespassing. I'm certain that I was trespassing. So yeah, when all the drawings started being released and all the excitement started coming up about it, I went and tried to get over there, and of course you couldn't. So I'm making my way all the way around the back, and then these blocked off sections of parking lot where Wake's stadium is, and I guess I'm gonna hoof it. So I get out and I started walking to see what you guys were doing in the area, and I found this sort of riser, I guess, where you could see out over it. Yeah. And just beautiful. Yeah. I mean, it's such a great. I think it's one of those spaces that you don't see what it is when you're looking at, as you said, all the vacant buildings and the empty parking lots and that kind of stuff. But there's such a nice elevation to it, and the idea of the creek that goes through, and the way that the land lays, it's just really a neat spot. And I think a lot of people probably wouldn't have seen that in that area, because that part of town has been sort of some version of decline for a while. Yeah. And there's a lot of bright spots in there too, but it's when that was announced, I thought, oh, how great for Wake, how great for the city. So very cool. Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, I've tailgated in the Gold Lot, so right next to this. I mean, nestled right in the corner of the whole thing. My entire literally since I was 3 months old, and I remember standing for the first time up, at the corner of Deakin and University once we had started to, break ground and clear things. And I was standing next to Robin Team, who was tailgated next to me for at least my whole life, and maybe, and he founded Front Street Capital. And we were just we had no idea the elevation here and how dynamic the landscape could be. And I mean, we knew how important it was to put this development there, but it just opens it up. And it's funny because, we go to all the Wake football, basketball, baseball games. So my family's over there all the time, even if I didn't do this for a living. And so I'm really over there all the time. But you think about how many people from Winston, if you don't go to Wake games, you're not thinking about this as a place to go. And so that's the part that really gives me goosebumps as a Winston native, is this is going to be a whole new neighborhood for people. In addition to bringing people from the neighboring neighborhoods and giving them more things to do and access to that outdoor space, the retail, all of the resources.
And the draw for Wake. I mean, not that Wake needed more draw, but I mean, but just what it does for the university's positioning. I'm sure you've seen other podcasts or posts online. I don't know if maybe they'd spoken to some people at Wake, or they just got news about it and then realized what it was and made commentary, but I'm guessing you've seen these where people go on and on about this is what other universities need to do.
Yes.
And instead of putting all this money into, you name it, or just trying to get boosters to make their schools more prominent, how about you take the business model of what Wake Forest is doing and invest it into a local community that then raises capital for the school, as opposed to hoping that people will give you a check or whatever. Not that the boosters wouldn't do that anyway, because they pride in being an alumni, but it's such a beautiful concept in so many ways. It's so cool. So you've been getting a lot of online praise.
I know. Well, it's great to see that. I can't take credit for that. It's just become
you could have, and I wouldn't question that. I didn't.
But it really is. I mean, it's such a testament not only to Wake Forest, the vision that Wake Forest leadership had in being at the forefront of that, and now others are modeling off of that, which is just fantastic, right? There's a lot of pride for Wake Forest and for Winston-Salem in that. But the fact that the benefit of doing that is so expansive. It's not just a way for the university to make money, although it does do that, right?
Sure.
And it enables things like the Gateway Scholarship that they are now going to start offering, where it's if your family makes $200,000 or less, you're able to go to Wake tuition free, right? So that allows, just the multitude of benefit there, and the investment in the city of Winston-Salem, right? I talk a lot about how not only will this, increase tax revenue, $1.3 billion in economic impact in our first 10 years, but it's also just such a demonstration and a belief about this place and faith in this place to make that investment and to believe that it'll have that return. Like I said, billions in economic impact and total business sales, millions in tax revenue that was just empty parking lots.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's visionary for the revenue stream for the school and for the demonstration of, especially a private university, making an investment in the city. in
Yeah, you
which
don't
it
see that often.
lives. Yeah,
you really don't. I mean,
You don't.
private, public, or otherwise, you don't normally see that from the university. And
Right.
this is just me and my 2 cents on this, but I think that universities should be leading the way with
too.
that
Yeah.
because that's what we're sending our kids there for. I mean, I don't just
Right.
mean like capital infrastructure, but I mean the idea of innovation, the idea of
Yes.
creation. This is what you can do, and if the university is leading with that,
Right.
then it's showing others that hey, this university's got a great idea for how to better the city that they're in,
Yeah.
better the community they're in, do something more for the students, raises capital for the school. That's what they should be leading the way with,
Yeah.
as opposed to, well, other alternatives
Right,
that I feel like a
right.
lot of universities
that
do.
a lot of universities do. And it's,
yeah.
and it's so putting their literal money where their mouth is. Wake has incredible programming around leadership and character. So a whole, school basically focused on
Even their motto.
the business,
Yeah.
right, Pro Humanitate. But the business impact of leading with character and entrepreneurship. I mean, there are founders of products you guys probably used this morning that were students at Wake Forest when they did those things. And so to focus on leadership, character, and entrepreneurship, and then put it into a real world application that's going to be visible to every prospective student, every visiting team, every business touring Winston-Salem with, our friends at Greater Winston-Salem Inc. To see if they want to relocate here. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
Well, I think if you took anybody who was remotely interested in any of that and you walk them into the business school at Wake and then said, here's the grounds that's tied to how we're looking at doing business infrastructure, you'd be kind of crazy not to say this school knows exactly what it's
It's
doing.
real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think further strengthening those bonds between Wake and Winston, and the fact that Winston is arts and innovation, and more so than ever, I think the rise of entrepreneurship and small business and creative business here. I mean, it just couldn't be more perfect, in my opinion, very biased opinion.
I agree.
Mine's biased as well, but Winston does such a good job of it when it's on point.
Yeah.
And we are a Winston-Salem podcast, and so I know we're all biased on this, but it's just so hard to beat the culmination of things that are Winston. So, I'm just very excited about this project and what it's doing for the city, for that area, and for the school.
Yeah. Well, me too.
All this leads into our favorite question. What do you love about Winston-Salem?
Ooh, oh man. Yeah, I should have gone ahead and prepared for this because I know that. I love, and this may not be a thing that everyone loves, although I think most people in Winston do. I love that I get as much, if not more, opportunity than I could somewhere else because I'm seeking it out. And if you want it, you can find it here, I think. Mm-hmm. But I love that I see someone I know almost everywhere I go. Like, I love that. I love the fact that it's like, yeah, where have we got, oh, hey. Like, I love, and usually that's when, you're looking the grossest, like, on the way to the grocery store on a Saturday morning to pick up coffee. But I just love that sense of community. I love that I grew up here with that it takes a village kind of thing, and you knew that you were kind of protected and taken care of, and that you might get caught if you wash the X's off your hands at Ziggy's. But I love that my kids are growing up with that too, and that again, when we go down to Lowe's Foods on a grocery trip, they're going to run into their preschool teacher and some friends, and that just gives you that sense of like, I'm not in a tiny town, right? I don't feel limited by this, but I actually feel really lifted up by it. So that's I think.
Love that. I've never heard that answer.
Yeah, we haven't heard that one.
I like that you led with, it might not be everybody's
It might not be
favorite.
everybody's cup of tea, but for me, I love that.
I think, like you said, most people from Winston do love that, though.
Yeah.
I think so too. And it is one of the, and from my experience anyway, a town that's big enough to have everything. There's so much to do here, and it's
Yes.
close to so many things. This is not a small city.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, nationally speaking, I think what are we, 87? I
Something like that.
think we're 87th in the
Right,
country.
right.
Out of 50 states. I mean, that's come on,
Yeah.
that's pretty good size. But to your point, it always feels charming and accessible, and you run into people all the time, and that's
Right.
I think that's an unusual quality.
Right. And the fact that it does it, it's charming, but it's not sleepy.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I think that that's a really unique thing.
Yeah.
That there's an energy to that sense of community. And that's really what we're trying to add to at the grounds.
I think it will.
Yeah.
When's the tentative opening date as of right now?
So we are on schedule.
That's good.
Things are going the way they should, which is great. The teams that we're working with, Brassfield and Gorey, who's our general contractor, just like best in the business, absolutely incredible. And again, some of the best humans. Nelson is our master architect and designer. The Carter team out of Atlanta are here all the time. And, we'll see some of them at our office at Front Street. So everybody's doing really great to keep it on track. But we'll all be able to be there in fall of 27. Wow. So I don't know that every retailer will open on exactly the same day, but the office building that'll be non-student facing staff at Wake, the multifamily, which is student apartments for Wake upperclassmen, and then of course the retail village, which is for all of us, and the Stream will be that early fall timeframe.
How many retail spaces are there?
There'll be about 12. So some as we started out with 14, as we've gotten into negotiations, like there's a restaurant concept that'll probably take 2 full units as well as a little bit of a rooftop, which will be great. Yeah. Maybe another one. So we'll probably end up with about 12 spaces across those 5 buildings.
And what's the housing?
So the student apartments, these are, guys, when I talk about 20-year-old me at Wake Forest, living in a rental house where I was in a converted sun porch with a door to the outside, and hand-me-down furniture from my great-grandmother. This is 521 beds of fully furnished student apartments, so 229 units, 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units. There's a pool that's beautiful, a clubhouse, a fitness center.
A clubhouse and a fitness center.
It's absolutely gorgeous. So that's Creekside at the grounds, named because it does sit right along Silas Creek. And it satisfies a housing need for Wake. Has close by walkable. It'll be about a 10-minute walk to the center of campus.
And Wake is expanding, right?
Wake is growing their enrollment a bit.
Yeah. Do you know what the projected numbers?
I don't know exactly where it'll
Because right now they're around
land.
6.
Yeah, they're right at 5,500, 6,000. So I think there's a little bit of growth in there.
Yeah.
Slated over the next few years. And Wake has a 6-semester on-campus living requirement. So they actually announced 2 weeks ago, that Creekside will be the first affiliate housing partner that students can live there and satisfy.
I'm sure no one's going to want to move
They're
to that.
on campus.
That sounds awful.
Yes, we have some dear friends and neighbors whose daughter is a freshman this year, and we joke that we're going to do like a jumbo check, but a lease, because they're so excited to sign their lease at Creekside. But it is something that, as you look at, Wake competes with not just Vanderbilts and SMUs that are kind of similar profile, but Georgia and Texas and these major universities that have these things.
Yeah.
And so it's what, students are looking for. Their parents are looking for safety and stability. And so the fact that all of that will be built in is really, really appealing. Not to mention, I guess, just the logistics of getting furniture when you're, a senior in college, and a lot of them are renting it. And so it's going to be a really, really special thing. And it also, made logistical sense from a business standpoint. We knew we wanted multifamily there, right? That's a really critical part of adding energy and vitality to the district. We're right by Wake Forest. It makes sense for it to be students. Wake has a need for it. And securing financing for student apartments is a little bit easier than market multifamily. Yeah. So that's where, as we think about phase 2 and 3, we'll be giving some thought to, okay, what's next? What kind of residential will come next? There are also 22, a very, very limited number of condos above the retail village. So 2 of our retail buildings one will have 2 extra floors and one will have 3 extra floors of really luxury high-end condos, largely game day condos, probably nobody's primary, maybe not even secondary residence. So those will be pretty Wake Forest centric for some of the people that have really followed this from the beginning and really loyal to Wake Forest. So those aren't being publicly marketed,
right.
Mainly because they don't need to, but there's a ton of demand for that as well, right? In Winston and among that Wake Forest community. So again, as we think about phase 2, phase 3, could see there being even more opportunities for sale residential.
Are there
along with more retail and office? And,
are there other parts of future phases you can share?
Not at this point. It'd be too early. Everyone we talk about hotel, we talk about grocery. With a lot of those, you have to show the density. They're not going to come to a brand new development that hasn't had It has foot traffic.
Yeah.
It's 750,000 people visit this area every year already for games, concerts, graduations, all the things that we go do there across, I think it's like 260 event days, because a lot does happen. Those people just tend to come and then leave.
Yeah.
And so phase 2 and 3, like additional concepts and users will be shaped a lot by the momentum that we establish in phase 1.
Well, as parents who just put both of our kids in freshman year in college, we can certainly appreciate what it is they're building over there.
Yeah.
When you were sitting there talking about that, and I was thinking about putting my daughter in Granville at Chapel Hill, and the building was built in like 68 and has not been touched since 68.
Right. Granville felt a little aged when my friends were in college.
Right.
There, but,
Yeah. Well,
But
likewise.
it's a thing that's happening, I mean,
Well, it is.
And Wake's dealing with that on their, what used to be the nicer dorms
age.
are
ages.
needing to be redone and maybe torn down. So it's a problem everywhere, a challenge everywhere.
No, problem was the right word. When I don't hear about this from my daughter or from the other students, but I see it on the news that there's some black liquid dripping from the ceiling on the 9th floor, and they had to vacate. And I'm like, in your tower? He said, yeah, I think, and some people are talking about it. I mean, I've got some upper respiratory infection that won't go away, but it's fine.
That's
Build resilience, they need a challenge.
Right.
So my daughter
That's how
goes
we
to High
build.
Point
High
University.
Point. Oh, okay. So
And
you've
so they're
got
kind of like similar to Wake,
Yeah.
where
I
they
was
do
gonna say.
give back to the community.
oh
and,
my
it's
gosh,
very-
tremendously.
Yeah,
yes.
that point is definitely got.
It's like I'm telling you, it's like a cruise ship. You go there, they have everything they need.
I
right
know,
there.
it's like
Don't
country
they have
club.
Ruth?
Ruth's Chris, yeah.
But I love they have that, and they teach the students how to
Yeah.
interact at a business dinner and these
Everything.
real world skills that I think are just
Yeah, they have these fine dining, and they're not allowed to use their phones or anything. And
love that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So,
No, I
Probably
love
need
that.
that too.
yeah, I think we all need that.
Well, to the point of what we were talking about with what Wake's doing with the grounds, it's real world.
Yeah, it's real world.
It's good real world stuff.
Yeah.
My daughter ended up in a business English class, which I didn't.
A business
Yeah,
English
that's what I said.
class.
So there's English class for
That must be
freshmen.
a
There's
newer thing.
It is, and it's a business English class. And right now they're in the midst of they had to go. I thought this was super cool. They had to figure out a company they wanted to either intern or work for in another state. Figure out the distance between where they were going to live and that place. Find out the cost of the living on the place. Write the
Yeah.
cover letter. And now they're in the rounds of the interviews for the
amazing.
job. And I was like, there you go.
It's so practical.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
It's so
And
practical.
necessary, frankly.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a young woman reach out to me, I guess it was about a year ago. And one of her assignments in a class at Wake, and it was a intro to business kind of thing, was you have to find and introduce yourself to 10 alumni in different categories and different industries, and either have a phone call or schedule coffee and she was like, I was terrified to do this at first. But I said, these are
important.
exactly the skills
Yeah.
that you need.
Yeah,
And
do you
nobody
wanna
shot her
learn that
down.
when you're actually
Do you
out
want to
there
learn that when you
doing
have
it?
to? Right. When it's not just a
No.
grade, when it's like you're trying to get a job. And so I just think things like that are so critical. And it's so good to see more and more ways that schools are creating those real world environments. To
Yeah,
put
at
students
High
in.
Point, they even built it's like inside of an airplane and a lounge so that they'll learn how to interact with people like on planes or, getting onto a plane and stuff like that.
Oh, I was just on a plane this weekend and the whole world.
But you
needs
can
that.
make a lot of like connections.
They need to learn how to pack light. That's what
Yeah.
they need to learn how to do. There should be a class on
There
packing.
should be a class on that. That's true.
Yeah. She's space bags.
Yes, exactly.
That's how my wife got her wedding dress to Scotland
Yep.
in a space bag.
Yep. Wow. That's how I backpacked in Europe.
Yeah. There you go.
So anything else about you you'd like to tell us outside of the grounds,
I don't know.
Winston or otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that, you see those things that it's like if, 20-year-old you could know what you're doing and, you'd be like, you're in your day to day and you're stressed out about like, oh, kids are home from school in the snow and am I getting enough done? I mean, it's just having, been born and raised here, and I was the child of 2 Wake Forest alum. Like my parents met at Wake, so I was in the cheerleading outfit. But also have just loved Winston my whole life. I mean, the furthest I went was Charlotte because I just couldn't get that far, and was just so excited to come back here with my family. And so it's working on something like this And, with Front Street Capital, that's another one of those, really entrepreneurial, small but big businesses that's investing in this place. Is just a total dream. So it's so exciting. Thank you guys so much for wanting to hear about it, because it's my favorite thing that I get to talk about it all the time.
It's a good thing. We're all excited. Yeah. So how can people find out more about the grounds?
Yes. So website is visitthegrounds.com, but I'd say the best way to follow updates and really get a sense for,
Just to walk over there and trespass?
Well, walk over there and trespass. Yeah, I mean, I can't technically give you permission. Brassfield and Gorey, I didn't tell anybody to do anything, is our Instagram. One of the things that's so fascinating about this is, like, my job is to market an attraction and businesses that people can't go to for a year and a half, which is fun. It's a fun challenge. Now I'm saying a year and a half. 6 months ago, I was saying 2 years. So, like, we're getting better and better.
Getting closer.
Big shout out to Addie Culp and Culp Creative, who is our social media partner. Addie is an amazing partner and has just incredible ideas. And so she's helping, she and I are together strategize. And then she really runs the Instagram account. So that's at Visit the Grounds on Instagram, and just lots of storytelling and updates there too.
So I like the Instagram. There's a lot of cool stuff.
Once we can announce that first wave of retailers, I'll let y'all know, and that'll be on all those channels.
So, well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This is Twin City Talk. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. The views and opinions portrayed by guests on this podcast are not necessarily those of the distributors and hosting companies. And if you love this podcast, that's great, but don't think about stealing it. Reach out to us and talk about the content, because it is copyrighted.